From Southern California, this is The Circle of Insight, a show about everything in psychology. Hear the latest in news and views on psychology. Our motto is simple: wherever there is psychology involved, we are there. And now, here's your host of The Circle of Insight, Carlos Vasquez.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We have a fabulous show for you. Today, we're going to be exploring some of the challenges of dating. Yes, it's been existing for centuries, and it still makes us wonder. With us today, we have Dr. Sharon Cohen, relationship and dating consultant. Welcome to the Circle, Dr. Cohen.
Thank you so much.
So this thing has been going on for centuries. I think ever since mankind's lived, we've had different ways of how we date. Sometimes we didn't get a chance to date centuries ago. They just told us, here's your mate, game's over. But what are some of the challenges people face today in dating?
You know what, I think it's beyond even just the challenges of dating, it's the challenges of being single. And loneliness is really epidemic right now. And actually loneliness and social isolation, it actually kills more people than obesity does. The mortality rate for it is on par with smoking and twice as deadly as obesity. So people feel a false sense of connection now with the internet, and the time that they spend on Facebook, there's a study that's been shown that says that it's inversely related to their level of happiness. And I can say that for me, inversely related.
Wow.
So the time that I spend on the screen, be it the television, looking at the phone, iPad, computer, for me, it's absolutely inversely related to the level of joy that I feel in my life. So with these increasing levels of isolation and depression, people are really craving and wanting that sense of connection and that sense of relationship, and wanting to be there with getting the love and the strokes in the relationships. So what's happening now is that, clients call me and they say that I don't want to do it like I've done it before. I want things to be different this time. The relationship that I had before, it was going so well, and it just didn't work out the way that I thought it was going to in the beginning.
Let me ask you this. So when you say I don't want to do what I was doing before, is that how they were dating, or how they were, what kind of relationship they were in?
Yeah,
or both?
What kind of relationship they were in.
Oh.
They don't like the way they had their relationship before. And so they want things to be different this time. But I'm not sure that they know how to do it differently. And so that's part of the issue. So they come to me and they're in pain. And so I think what's getting in the way, there's a number of competing things that are getting in the way. One of the things is busy schedules, work. One of the things I ask women is, do you want to be a career woman or a woman with a career? And there's a distinct difference between the two. And
what are the differences?
Well, if you're a career woman, then the career comes first, and then the relationship comes second. And if you're a woman with a career, then the relationship comes first, and the career comes second. And so for a single woman or a divorced woman, they've been living with the career coming first because they've had to. They're having to take care of themselves, maybe their children, and so the career is going to have to come first. But the question is when a man comes into your life, which is going to come first then? Which is going to come first when a man comes into your life? Are you open to the idea of having the relationship then come first? And that's a big decision to make for a lot of women. Are they open to the man's masculine energy being at the forefront then? Because up until this point, when you're an individual person, your personal masculine energy, the idea of, compete, conquer, and control, which is masculine energy, that has to take care of you. That's what has to be at the forefront for you as an individual. But when you get together with someone else, the feminine energy, which is more patient, passive, vulnerable, receptive, available, being respectful, that's what is the opposite of the masculine energy. And so you have to decide, are you open to being that person, that energy in the relationship? So
let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
I know we're going to get into recommendations in part 2, so you have to come back for part 2 if you want to find out how to overcome these challenges. But when you're a career woman, you're putting the career first.
Right.
So is it feasible for a career woman to have a relationship
It is feasible if you find a man who wants to be a man with a career. So it would be a woman who has her masculine energy at the forefront and a man who has his feminine energy at the forefront. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of men out there who are open to being more passive and open to having the woman lead. And there's actually, that's kind of a very common thing these days, the way society has gone. We've taught a lot of our men to be receptive and kind of lay back a little bit more. That happened with the women's liberation, getting women out in the workforce. We've taught our women to be very competitive and nothing can hold you back. And we've also taught our men to be more feelings oriented. And so, and to not necessarily be as competitive, that everybody gets a participation ribbon and that not everything is merit based. And so we've kind of taken away a little bit of the competitive spirit for a lot of our men. And so with that, there are more men that are more feelings based. There's a lot more women that are more competitive based. So it's a matter of finding the right mix for you, if that's your natural, authentic energy. But what I've found oftentimes is that when although that starts off to be the energy that they come together as, that ultimately that may not be the energy that is natural to them. That once they're in the relationship for a certain period of time, the woman ends up resenting the man because he hasn't risen to be more respectable in her eyes, and that he ends up resenting her because she appears to be mothering him.
That leads me to another question, and I'm not sure. I know you have some clients that are men.
A lot.
Society has changed, as you mentioned, and men have changed, I think, to a certain degree. There's been books out there now illustrating the fact that a lot of men are actually not the main breadwinners of the home.
Right.
Not a lot, but there's still a higher percentage than there used to be, I guess, relatively. And how does that change the dynamic in the dating relationship? Because I can see, I can picture the man. He's not making as much money as the wife. Fine. But how do they get there? Is that the career woman looking for somebody who doesn't need to have the woman who has a career? How does that relationship kind of develop?
So the question is how does the man become the not the breadwinner?
Well, how does a man who will go into a relationship dating and he meets a woman who's making more money per se than he does, and we've seen this in the show The Big Bang Theory.
Right.
They have the classic example of Wolowitz and his wife makes more money than he does.
Right.
But how does a woman choose that? Is it a woman who's a good career woman who says, "Oh, I'm okay with this," even if he doesn't make much?
Yes, absolutely. There's definitely a lot of women who are comfortable with that, and it's not a big deal. And oftentimes, if she loves what she does, she's fine with him being the one who doesn't make more money, as long as he's fine with it too. And it can work out fabulously. The difficulty comes if at some point one of them isn't okay with it. They may start out being fine with it in the beginning. However, sometimes what happens is sooner or later one of them resents it. In the beginning, you hear a lot of men saying, I love it that she makes more money than I do. But then at some point his ego gets in the way, or his sense of masculinity gets in the way, and then he's not happy.
Is that derived from societal pressures? The other guy friends saying, "What are you doing?" or other women?
I think it can be that, or I think it can be just a sense of, just that kind of internal, instinct. Yeah. It's not the way that it's been along, kind of evolutionarily. If you look back at birds, the female bird would go and look at the different nests that the men would make, and she would pull on different little strings from the different men's nests to see whose was the strongest nest.
Really?
Yeah, so she was seeing who would be the best provider for her, and the strongest provider. And so this has been going on, since
billions of years.
Billions of years. And so we're turning things around now, and so evolutionarily it works for some and it doesn't work for others.
Interesting. Very fascinating stuff.
Hi, welcome to Adelante. This is Adelante Recovery, and my name is Yvette Kuglin, and I'm part of the staff.
Adelante Recovery Center has helped people in dual diagnosis for 5 years. We accept most PPO insurances and provide luxury accommodations and 24-hour support. To speak with an admissions counselor, call 1-888-242-4450.
A lot of time we don't even know what's wrong with us, and sometimes we need to get away to figure that out. So if you want to go for a little retreat out in Corona Del Mar, which is a confidential location, we're here to help. So we're only a phone call away. Thank you.
Now, you saying being single, social isolation was actually worse than obesity? It says a high mortality rate. What is one of the reasons for that?
You know what? It just leads to depression, and depression is such a big problem. And the thing is like we hear so much about obesity, you know, with Michelle Obama talking about it for the kids, and it's true. It is a big problem, and I'm really happy that that's become a social issue that we talk about. However, the stigma of talking about depression as being an issue worth really digging in and drilling down on it, and really bringing to the surface. I'm sad that it hasn't become more of a socially acceptable topic to discuss. It comes up, Robin Williams' death or different things like that. It becomes a topic when something tragic comes up, but we really haven't brought it to the surface as being. You never hear about loneliness as being an issue, really. An article gets written here or there, but as far as it being a overriding topic that it's not on the front of Time magazine or something, and it deserves some more media attention.
And holidays are tough times for everybody too. Holidays are really tough.
Absolutely, when family's not nearby, or when family is nearby, and you can feel very alone within your family. You can feel alone when you're surrounded by a lot of people. Loneliness is a very tricky disorder.
What do you think about Valentine's Day? Do you see anything going on in your business during that period, or a week or two before? Do you see a lot more anxiety and nervousness, or people getting more, how would you say, less patient to try to find somebody for Valentine's Day?
Yeah, Valentine's Day, that's again another one of those tricky holidays. It's interesting, a lot of people who are in relationship around Valentine's Day find Valentine's Day to be a very silly holiday. However, people who are outside of relationship find Valentine's Day to be a very sad, lonely time, because they feel like everyone's in love right around then. You really look around and you see everybody seems to be in couples at that time, and Hallmark and all the greeting cards and all the
movies and everything.
The jewelry stores and everything. It seems like everybody's really puffing up the holiday. So yeah, I think it's a hard time.
And it's actually probably you'll have a lot of relationships that start up that probably shouldn't have started up because of Valentine's Day.
You know what? That's also around now as well. And I tell my clients that it's not a good time to start up a relationship unless it's really the right relationship, because what you're doing is you're missing out on opportunities that may be going by if you get into the wrong relationship around a holiday that isn't a good relationship for you, if it's not the right relationship. I'm not saying that it's not a good time to date and be out there and mixing and mingling. However, it's not a great time to just jump into a relationship just to be in a relationship around the holiday.
So be patient, people.
Be patient, exactly.
Last question we have, we're going to explore internet dating.
Yeah,
we talked
absolutely.
a little bit about it with Facebook. We know. What do you feel about internet dating?
Yeah, internet dating's an interesting thing. I think the issue with internet dating is that people get really, they always think that there's another better deal around the corner. Yeah. And so what they do is they're losing their ability to be intimate, because they're always in pursuit of some ideal and some pursuit of something that's perfect. And when you're in pursuit of some idea of perfection, then the reality of what's in front of you, you lose sight of that might be something really great. And that really ends up being the root of dissatisfaction when you're in pursuit of some ideal and you're not finding it. That ends up being very, very dissatisfying. So you're not being intimate when you're not in the moment. And what being intimate is being able to say what you're thinking and feeling in the moment that you're thinking and feeling it. And it's also being able to have feelings about your life. And so if you're always like running around and never being present in the moment with the person that's sitting in front of you because you're thinking that there's someone else who's better and more perfect for you elsewhere, then you're never really taking that time to be intimate in the moment because you're looking for the flaw in this person because you can go back to the internet and find the next best person.
That's interesting, because I think one of the biggest challenges of internet dating as well is that you always have this portrayal of the ideal person.
Right.
You have a picture that was 10 years ago,
Yes.
or photoshopped, whatever it may be, and those cause a lot of challenges too.
Absolutely. People aren't entirely truthful, and that definitely causes an initial
Shock.
Absolutely.
Yeah, not in the right way. I don't know how many times you've ever heard the story of somebody, he didn't look attractive, but when I saw him in person, wow, he was really attractive. Have you ever heard that yet? No. I'm waiting for the first one too.
Not too often.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cohen, for coming to the circle. Thank you for the wonderful insight.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the show. Remember, our motto is simple. Wherever there's psychology involved, we are there. See you next time, everyone.